What is up, everybody? This is your boy Patty, also known as Toxin or Tox, whichever one you'd like to say or you prefer. It don't really matter to me, yo. Let's get into another story time. Tonight we're going to be talking about one of the creepiest paranormal experiences I've ever had, and one of the only paranormal experiences I've ever had. It's one of two. The other one being that story I told you guys very recently about my girlfriend and I staying the night in a notoriously haunted location in the state of New York, our home state. However, this story is going to be a much quicker one than that one because there's not a lot involved in it. Just a little bit of context, a little backstory we'll get to right now. This took place a couple years ago, back in 2023. At the time, I was at a weird point in my life. I had just gotten fired from my job that I'd been working for about 3 years at that point. And it was a job I loved, and it was one of the only consistent and stable things in my life at that time. It paid really well. I liked the work itself. I was one of the more experienced people in my department. I just all around really enjoyed the job. But I had been kind of taking advantage of the lackadaisical clocking in and clocking out system that we used at that job, and the fact that our supervisors and our upper management weren't like sticklers for when and how we would clock in and out for our lunch breaks. So I ended up getting fired for quote-unquote forging my time card. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was going home on lunch break and then clocking back in at my house on my computer and taking a nap before going back into work pretty much every day at that point. And you're probably wondering, hey, man, if you like that job so much, why were you doing that type of a thing? And I'll tell you why. Because of severe depression at the time I was experiencing post-breakup of a horrible relationship. And during that said relationship, the girl I was in the relationship with, who I was only with for 6 months, got me into something that nobody should ever get into, and that is methamphetamines. And please, guys, please let me be clear. Do not do any of the things I talk about in any of these stories that I tell. These are all supposed to be for entertainment purposes only, and I do not endorse any of the things I talk about in these stories, even though I did them. I would definitely go back and change things if I could. But it is what it is. The past is the past, and I learned a lot from this experience, but I digress. The reason I'm telling you guys all of this context and background is because at the time of this story, I had a really shitty part-time cleaning job. It was minimum wage. It was severely part-time, like 20 hours a week, maybe if I was lucky. And a lot of these assignments, these cleaning assignments, would happen super late at night. And one of my main assignments that was consistent, because I would have 1 or 2 assignments a week that would be consistent, I'd always do, kind of like a permanent basis. And then I'd have like 1 or 2 a week that would be kind of fluctuating, the different places I would go. So the one permanent assignment that I did throughout the entire time that I worked for this company was this really fancy country club in the area that I live. And it was basically I'd go in at 11 or midnight, I can't remember exactly which one, but around that time, and I would clean the floors of the kitchen, the staff kitchen, the staff dining room, and then I would go upstairs and I would do the second floor kitchen. And then I would clean up all of my, supplies, take the trashes out, and leave. And at any given time, I would be working with either my supervisor, one other person, or both simultaneously. And one interesting piece of information that my supervisor decided to share with me when I first got the job and first got the assignment was that property, that location, was rumored to be haunted. And me being the skeptic and person who's never really experienced too much paranormal stuff in his life at all, just kind of brushed it off and said, hey, that'd be cool if I could see something or hear something, but I probably won't. And for a while, I was right about that. For a good 2, maybe even 3 months of me doing this assignment, I didn't experience jack shit. And keep in mind that substance I told you about that my last ex had gotten me into, well, I had gotten off of it. I had gotten clean from it completely after we broke up. But about a year later, I happened to find a plug for it. And I will be honest and I will admit that at the time when I was doing it with her, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that specifically. Everything else about the relationship I hated. But I did enjoy doing that specific drug with her. So even though I had gotten clean from it completely after we broke up, I still thought about it and thought about how I would probably enjoy it a lot more if I wasn't in a situation like the horrible situation I was in that relationship. And yes, I found my own plug for it eventually, and I made the very, very stupid, very dumb decision to consciously make the choice to start partaking in this drug again. So at the time, the idea of doing this cleaning job super late at night at this super spooky country club was actually fine. It actually sounded kind of fun to me at first because I was fucking high. I was completely blasted every night when I went to work. So on this specific night when the story takes place, I was getting close to finishing up at work. It was probably about 1 in the morning. I usually would get out around 2. And I had made it to the last part of my night, which was cleaning the floors of the second floor staff kitchen. And in the middle of me doing this, my supervisor comes into the kitchen and tells me, hey, I got a couple more properties to do. I got to leave early. She made sure I was all good, asked if I needed anything. I told her, no, we're good. You get moving, go get your shit done. And that's when she left the premises, leaving me there by myself for the rest of the night. And that was totally fine. I had been there by myself before. It wasn't anything new. I wasn't worried at all. Just wanted to get the hell out of there because I was sick of mopping floors. So when I finally get done and I take out the trash, dump out the mop bucket, get all my supplies collected and put away, what we would do is we would go to the top floor on the elevator from the second floor. And in the top floor was just like kind of this attic type area where all the cleaning people had all their supplies, the work shirts, all that shit, and we would just leave everything there, and then we would get in the elevator and we'd go back down to the second floor to exit the building. And keep in mind, I am one of 2 people left in the entire building. It's just me and the security guard who sits at the front desk, which is also on the second floor. So I take the elevator down to the second floor to leave. I get to the second floor, the elevator doors open, and I walk out, and I hear above me on the floor I was just at a bunch of footsteps, like running, but like tiny footsteps, like children running is kind of like what I would describe it as. And for a second, I'm just kind of processing what I'm hearing. And I know that the security guard's desk is literally 200 feet to the right of me, so there's no way he's making that noise. So once I've given my brain enough time to catch up with what just happened and I've fully processed what I've heard, I just say, fuck that, man, I gotta get out of here. So instead of going out the way I usually left on the second floor, I just went back into the elevator and went all the way down to the basement level, which is where we would enter every night and start the cleaning process. And I just went out that way because it was closer to my car, and I just wanted to get out of there as soon as I possibly could at that point. Now, I'm not going to say I was so scared I was like running out of there. I wasn't. I was hurrying out, but I don't think that even though it had processed what had happened, I don't think it had hit me really that hard yet, like fully what I may have just experienced, because like I said, I've never really experienced too many paranormal things in my life. Like I said, this is one of 2, I'd say, that are like noteworthy. And even though this is one of those experiences, it didn't scare me away from like the job. I didn't like quit right after that. I did quit a couple months later, but that's because I got a better job with, higher pay. But it was not because of this experience, and I didn't actually like dread going back to this country club to work and clean every night like I thought I might. It actually kind of just added to the fun of it, added to the mystique. I was more curious than I was scared, I'd say, because I just kind of wanted to experience more. And since then, I can confidently say that I have not really experienced more when it comes to paranormal events or activity. But that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to hear more scary stories, I can't really do too many more paranormal stories, like I said, but I can do scary stories, just generally fear-inducing stories. Let me know down in the comments. Like the video, please. That always helps. And subscribe if you're new. And that's it. Peace out, yo.
Shatters the backspout, splattered a blackout. My manner cast out, the shatter a racked out. And battles the fast moves to grab her, she knows not to stand. Roll hammer and stay team. Glass bottle shatters the backspout, splattered a blackout. My manner cast out, the shatter a racked out. And battles the fast moves to grab her, she knows not to stand.